And good morning, Guardians. This is Doc, and today we're going to talk about the new patch notes that I believe just happened to drop a few minutes ago. So let's take a look. This is Destiny 2 Update 7.0.0.1. Yikes, that's a handful. And I believe this is one day before the drop of Lightfall. So activities, let's get on with it, shall we? Crucible. Add an exotic armor swap penalty applied to Trials of Osiris and Competitive Division. Equipping a different piece of exotic armor drains all ability energies in these mods. Mods? Actually, it's modes. So, I mean, this one is actually a good one, especially when you're, mining a Titan and you have that RX Super, you change exotics and, it gives you a little bit of a freedom, I guess. And also, in reality, anything to helps to balance the current craziness that we have in Crucible, I'm all off for it. So I guess this is a good one. Competitive Division. Fix the bug that caused the competitive intro quest to auto-claim the completion reward. Rewards are now claimed upon interacting with Shaxx. Competitive Rift and Showdown have reduced revive delay time to 1.5 seconds from 2 seconds. Reduced respawn time to 5.5 from 7. Again, all good here. No complaints. Sounds like a move in the right direction. Now, Vanguard Ops. Vanguard Ops. We fixed an issue in High's Battleground, Europa, where a heavy ammo crate could respawn for players who get quarantined into the boss fight arena. I'm not to be quite honest, I'm not too much of a fan with High's Battleground. It's one of those hit or miss. I mean, it's great if you want to do bounties, but other than that, I usually just go straight to Orbit. But let's continue before I sort of segue into other stuff. So when you play Vanguard Ops or Nightfall, your final score determines reputation multiplier for that activity's completion. Multipliers run from 1.0 under 30,000 points to 7.0 above 250,000. We also tune the amount of Vanguard ranks you receive for completions, Nightfall quality, and streaks. This is all great, awesome, so far so good. Full pass on all Vanguard map and more multipliers with an eye towards balancing score per hour rather than score per temp. Vanguard and Nightfall strikes, adding on screen health bar for bosses previously missing them. Okay, this is good. Fist an issue where player could be given the same objective twice in quick succession in the Devil's Lair strike. The Vanguard Ops playlist had increased in difficulty. Players can no longer level beyond the enemy combatants. Additional rotating modifiers has been added to the Vanguard Ops playlist. Okay, so far so good. I'm hoping that we have a conversation here about rewards, because that's the kicker, but we'll see. Difficulty options, Hero, Legend, and Master difficulties have been reworked for greater challenge and to accommodate new modifiers. Added difficulty has been removed. Hero activity level is now self-cap plus 20, Legend is power cap plus 30, and Master is power cap plus 40. Each has a scaling combat delta that keeps you under level in the activity and provides a smoother pathway to Grandmaster. Okay, most Hero, Legend, Master, Grandmaster activities now feature the ability to use overcharge weapons for increased damage. Which weapons are overcharged are determined by your seasonal artifact, unlocks, and activity modifiers. Elemental singes and burns have been replaced and broken out into incoming and outgoing components, threats, and surges. Damage bonuses for surges and overcharge do not stack. Okay, talking about difficulty. I'm always a fan of any difficulty increase. The challenge that I have always is the time investment, rewarding players for that time investment. After all, this is a looter shooter. This is an MMO. So I am hoping to be fairly compensated / rewarded for the time that I spend doing this. I am a little concerned that we are increasing levels of difficulties and we're not seeing the loot to match across the board. So I'm hoping that in the later update and later email, on the next swap, for example, that we actually see some clear discussions about the investment of time, player reward, and also, and to get something that actually matters, right? For us to continue to farm and to go after. Moving on, raid and dungeons. Armor pieces from master difficulty, grabs of hours, duality, inspire the watcher drops with higher stats. Nice! Thank you. This is good. All right. Not bad. I guess, they are listening. Or Well, we'll see. Let me not get too excited. UI UX LIFO title screen. The title screen have received a visual and audio update for LIFO. We saw that, and I must say the music. If you haven't, the music, it's good. If you haven't had the opportunity to take a look, we actually did an unboxing the other day, and we used one of the songs for the title screen, and it's quite frankly awesome. So go take a look. Guardian ranks. UI throughout the Destiny 2 have been updated to display players' Guardian rank. Awesome. Orbit screen. Added a button to directly access the Journey tab. Cool. Triumphs tab and Journey tab. When building the Guardian ranks feature, the team leaned into the opportunity to refresh and relabel the Triumphs tab to better encapsulate the player's journey through Destiny 2. I am a little worried about this, and part of that because I'm concerned about the new players versus veteran players in terms of the experience and how is this going to level up. So I guess we'll find out more when the DLC drops, so we'll see. Many changes will be immediately visible, but some are more subtle, including an access point to view details about the commendations you have sent and received, an additional access point for seasonal challenges. Seals are no longer broken into two categories, seals and titles. They're just titles. Okay. Ability to focus the information shown at the top level. Both triumphs and titles have been migrated to bespoke subscreens. We added the ability to equip and unequip titles from the subscreen rather than going into the detail screen. Commendations. Commendations may be sent and received near the end of both activities. So far, so good. Accessibility. In all locations where commendations may be viewed or given, the player's colorblind preferences are respected. Thank you so much. I actually play with a lot of Guardians who have mobility concerns as well as that older disabilities. So this is great to be able to see more investments to accessibility. I'm always 100% on board with that. So this is great. The accommodations, again, this is one of those, we will see how it goes when it lands. So not much feedback around that part. Going back to the reading, this includes VFX in the post-game Carnage report. Post-game Carnage report updated the PGCR to complement the new commendations feature and updated some features. The PGCR now consists of two tabs, the commendation screen and the scoreboard. The reputation wheel has been simplified and is displayed on the top right of the scoreboard page. The player can now access the PGCR during the mission and count them by pressing the button to open the navigation mode, the nav mode, I'm thinking. Holding it down will still take you to the director. Okay. A traitor for this functionality is that when the mission end countdown is active, the nav mode cannot be open. Pressing a button to open nav mode will open the PGCR instead. Again, all of these are quality life of things that once we are there, once we get to, we have, LIFO in our hands, I think that we'll see how they work around and how much of an improvement it's going to be for all of us gamers. Guardians. Richer ranked tooltips. Updated rank tooltips. So all ranks tooltips now include a streak tracker and added a section that shows the player's total reputation rank points. This is good. Tracking. More items can be tracked at a time. Thank you. We only been asking this for 4 years. Thank you. Up to 6 no Guardian ranks objective can be tracked. Again, thank you. Navigation mode updates. A tab has been added specifically to display track Guardian ranks objectives. Track objectives that are not specific to Guardian ranks are grouped together. Tracking now is split into multiple sections on the Journey tab. Guardian ranks section specifically show track Guardian ranks objectives. Okay. All currently trackable non-quest objectives are shown below the seasonal challenges access point. Guardian ranks auto-tracking is enabled by default. The goal is to immediately point players towards objectives that they can work on to increase the Guardian rank. I think this is going to be great quality of life, especially for new gamers who just got into the game, having the ability to say, what am I supposed to do next, and be able to click, so that this is good. This is actually good quality of life. And these may be toggled on the journey screen if manual tracking is more your speed. Again, this is all awesome, especially for accessibility folks. This is great, so no concerns here. Track seasonal challenges properly display their challenge type in its tooltip on the tracking screen. So far, so good. Collections. Some access points have migrated from the Triumphs tab to the Collections tab. Lore, weapons, patterns and catalysts, metal, stat trackers, increase the number of visible, recently discovered items, waypoints, rectangles are out, circles are in, guardian ranks replace season pass level for guardians. Oh man, this is all good. This is super helpful. I'm always up for quality of life, but okay, we'll continue. I'll reserve my comments till the end. Records. In order to help call out which Guardian records are seasonal, blue grading has been added to the bottom of all seasonal records, including those of the seasonal challenges screen. Vendors. Ritual vendors in the tower like Zavala, Shax, Drifter, Banshee 44, Saladin, Saint 14 now have help tool tips describing the core ritual and reputation, as well as explaining some of the less visible features. All of this is great. The only thing that I'm, again, concerned about just a little bit, it's accessibility piece. So hopefully, this takes into account changing the colors for accessibility folks will be helpful and great. QOL updates and fixes. Character screen. Remove the currency display on the character screen. Clans. Fix an issue where Hawthorne's icon on the tower map would consistently pulse when a clan engram is available to claim. Roster, improve contrast between player names and background colors on the roster. Again, accessibility. Thank you. Fix an issue causing the director screen to refresh the footer UI when players in the roster change states. Okay. Settings. Fix an issue causing the settings menu to close when leaving the submenu. So far, so good. All right. This is the part that I've been looking for quite some time. Let's see. I got to stretch for this one. Armor. Let's begin. Armor energy type has been deprecated. I can talk sometimes. I'm actually deprecated. Let's go. Armor now has untyped armor energy, and all mods use that untyped energy when socketed. Interesting. Okay. Armor mods that were previously based on a weapon archetype are now based on weapon damage type. Thank you. This is good. Most armor mods that are based on weapon damage type also have harmonic version, which is discounted when the weapon's damage type matches your subclass damage type. So that means, if I'm reading this correctly, we have more room for build crafting to add more perks. That's what I'm thinking I'm reading. We'll see. Armor mod cost have been generally reduced across the board. Yes, thank you. This is great. Thank you, Bungie. The combo style mod socket has been deprecated and replaced on all armor pieces with an extra socket for mods associated with the armor slot, helmet, gauntlets, etc. The charge with light elemental wells armor has been merged into a single system. Seriously? Okay. Armor charge. Players using the armor charge system can gain up to 3 stacks of armor charge at a time, expanded up to 6 stacks by equipping Charmer Up mods. Oh my god, this is gonna be so broken. I can already tell. Hunters are about to become Titans, and Titans are become Warlocks, and Warlocks are become everything else. This is gonna be interesting. And I mean, it opens so much possibility for builds, and me that I'm so passionate about builds and going crazy at it. This is gonna make things really interesting. So we'll see. Picking up an overpower grants 1 stack of armor charge. This is great because no longer you need that specific armor mod for it. So this is good quality. Many mods that previously created elemental wells or grant a stack of charge with light have been modified to instead spawn ores of power. All right. Mods that provide an ongoing benefit, such as Fronts of Wisdom, now grants that benefit as long as you have stacks of armor charge. These mods cause armor charge stacks to decay every 10 seconds. Some redundant mods have been deprecated when their effect would overlap with an existing mod effects. Okay, I would like to see which mods are they talking about, so I guess we'll find out more later. Some armor mods, such as the Kickstart mods, and most mods triggered by using the finisher, now make use of the armor charge system. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, so that's, this is good. Some of the functionality of elemental wells and the associated mods have been moved into subclass fragments, and the new Fire Spite and Void Breach. Yeah, this Void Breach thing, I don't know if you guys remember reading the notes from potentially what's going to happen, but I can only imagine that Hunter build Void with the chest piece just wreaking havoc and being extremely broken. So, we'll see. Warmind cells have been deprecated. Moment of silence for Warmind cells. You'll be missed. We had a lot of fun. Thank you, guys. Till next time. Seasonal artifact. Unlocking a perk in the seasonal artifact now grants that perk directly to the character when it is relevant to you. You no longer need to suck at an armor mod to gain an artifact perk's effect. Thank you. Column 2, the artifact now unlocks multiple discounted mods per node. Okay. The maximum number of unlocked perks have been reduced to 12. I wonder why is 12. I guess we just need to see. Because that number seems a little bit arbitrary, especially when prior the seasonal artifact, sort of mod map had 20 something. So I'm curious to see as to why 12. Well, no, we'll see. I guess we'll find out a little more. Resetting your selections in the seasonal artifact is now free. Removing the 1 second button hold to unlock an artifact perk. A single button press now unlocks the perk. Artifact's armor has had its bonus socket converted into a socket that allows you to increase any one stat on the armor piece by +3. This is good. Thank you. Adjusted the amount of damage reduction provided by the resilient stat in PvE. A tier 10 damage reduction now caps at 30%, down from 40% in Season 18, and the progression of the damage reduction across tiers have been smoothed to give more relative value to lower tiers of resilience. This is fantastic. I think that we have been way too overpowered for way too long. And honestly, I think 30% is still too high. And yes, don't come at me with the forks, but I think 30% is still too high. But again, I guess we'll test and see what happens. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because when you build into your armor and you add all these extra mods, you're literally impossible to kill. Plus, you add another 30% resistance on top of that. I mean, it's still... Whew. So, again, we'll see what happens. We'll know more next week, I guess. The armor mods granting resilience and have their armor energy cost increased to 4, plus 10 resilience, and 2 plus 5 resilience. Okay, this is reasonable, I guess. The Iron Lord price perk has been added to all Iron Bandit armor, sets from Season 8 to the present. Good quality of light change. Thank you for that. Exotic armor changes. Capri Sting. True Sight is now granted with damaging an enemy with a smoke bond. Additionally, when you have an undetonated smoke bond on the battlefield and have not been made invisible by a smoke bond, you gain significantly increased melee energy generation. Ooh, this is interesting. But would this apply also to PvP? I guess we'll have to test. But for PvE, I see some benefit to this. For PvP, if this is the case, I don't know. This is going to be kind of interesting. Heart or Inmost Light. Sorry, Titans. I knew this was coming. And it needed it. It was just too overpowered. Reduce the reduction of the Empower ability buff in PvE to 5 seconds, down from 10 seconds. Reduce bonus class ability duration while empowered to plus 25% per stack in both PvE and PvP, down from 150% and 38% respectively. So did this mean that Heart or Inmost Light just got nerfed to the ground? Question mark? Maybe not. I mean, going from 150% to 25%, that's significant. So I guess we'll see next week when some of my colleagues go ahead and test. Some members of my clans will go and test and, sort of let me know. I'm not a Titan main. I do use it, but I think it was necessary. I think it was definitely needed. So I'm glad that there is a nerf to it because, again, Titans were way too overpowered for too long. This change is intended to decrease how easy it is to get and maintain 2 times empower and bonus time in PvE, as well as to reduce the total amount of bonus ability energy provided. The goal is for Heart or Inmost Light to remain strong in ability-focused builds, while giving room for other exotics to shine as well. Again, that's fair. I just hope that they just didn't nerf it to the ground with right now that exotic will become quote-unquote useless. I think that there's always room for improvement. There's always, nerfs are necessary to balance the ecosystem. But you have to be careful as well that you don't sometimes just nerf things to the ground so that other things can shine. I think there is room for everything at the table. But again, I'm not a developer. I don't pretend to be. So maybe there's a reason for this. We'll see. The Bombardiers now cause target damage by this explosive to become severe when used by a Strand Hunter. Oh, so we're combining exotics with other one. This is cool. Chromatic Fire has been updated to work with Strand. Can't wait to use that. Mantle of Border Harmony updated to work with Strand. Awesome. Verity's Brow updated to work with Strand. Fellwind's Helms triggers weekend burst of Strand melees. The Claws Ahamkara Ahamkara will not provide an additional melee charge when equipped to a Strand subclass. Why not? Maybe the Strand subclass is going to be too broken. Maybe that melee is too powerful. Who knows? I guess we'll know more about it next week. Armor that supports coloration, or actually, we'll know about it tomorrow. What am I saying? Going back, armor that supports coloration and appearance change based on your currently selected subclass has been updated to support Strand. This includes the following: 2020, 2021, and 22 Solstice armor sets. Okay, we're going backwards, but this is good. This is helpful. And tails, warts, and ornaments. No backup plans and ornaments. Okay, so far so good. Weapons. All right, so this has been such a high sort of level of conversation across the community. And I think that there is a lot to be said here. We had challenges with crafting. We have challenges with the economy. We have challenges with RNG. So I'm hoping that what I'm about to read, it's going to be fair and useful across the board. So let's go. Crafting changes. Reasonable elements have been removed. Resonant elements have been removed. Good. Crafting components costs have been replaced with standard currency such as glimmer and enhancement cores. Perfect. Deep side will only now manifest on weapons that have a pattern available to unlock. Okay. Deep side has been removed on existing weapons that do not have a pattern available to unlock. The deep side attunement objective has been removed. You can immediately extract or dismantle the weapon to obtain pattern progress. I guess we'll see tomorrow then. But from reading from afar, this looks good. I think there's more quality of life. I think the quality of life it's going to improve because it's less things that you have to track in order to build something that you want that is useful. So it leaves more time for player to move around, engage in the game rather than to sit, at the Dreaming City for hours with Sudochi trying to level up a weapon. So I think overall this might be a good thing, but we'll know more tomorrow. Crafting bug fixes. Fix an issue where crafted per cost was double for the King's Fall, Weapons Defiance of Yasmin, and Smite of Moraine. I didn't know there was an issue with that. I guess that, good to know. Updated several different weapons VFX to address miscellaneous bugs and performance issues. Thank you. That's always good. Restore the correct audio to Field Force shotguns. Okay. Red Reticle is now enabled on PC. Linear fusion rifles. Reduce damage versus champions, mini bosses, and vehicles by 15%. Sleeper Simulant and the Queen Breaker are unaffected. We knew this was happening. Linear fusions were incredibly powerful, so it needed a nerf. And I understand the whole dilemma about nerf one so that the others can shine, or there's more of an equal sort of ecosystem. So we knew this was coming. Machine guns. I love machine guns, but Lord, they need love. They need a lot of love. So they increase the damage by 10%. Thank you. Increase user ammo by 50% at 0 inventory stat and 20% at 100 inventory stat. The question is, will this be enough? There are some machine guns that still need a lot of love, so I guess we'll do more testing next week. Maybe make a video about it. Or maybe, just wait, in terms of what builds and things happen there within the community. But anytime I see machine guns and increased damage, this is a good thing. Heavy grenade launchers, increased damage versus champions, mini bosses, and vehicles by 20%, minus by 40%. Improved projectile collision, making it slightly easier to land hits. Increased blast radius by 1 meter, pardon me. Parasite is unaffected. So Anarchy, welcome back. Sniper, Anarchy, meta, here we go. Again, we'll see. No wonder why everybody was, farming like crazy grenade launcher Wendigo the other day. But I think this is a good thing. But will this mean that heavy grenade launchers are going to dominate again to the extent that other exotics, that other weapons are going to suffer? Are we going to have another linear, launcher, linear fusion rifle scenario again, where we drop everything else and focus on heavy launchers, grenade launchers? We'll see, but to me, it sounds like that. It feels that way. All right, shotguns. Shotgun reticles now change in size proportional to spread angle. Related note, the Legend of Accura's hipfire reticle is now a bit more representative of its very large spread angle. Kinetic weapons, weapon damage multiplier against unshielded combatants increased from 1.05 to 1.1. Kinetic special weapon damage multiplier against unshielded combatants increased from 1.05 to 1.15. Kinetic lost stasis weapon no longer had the 5% damage bonus versus the unshielded targets in PvE. Okay, so basically everything is going to be balanced across the board. This is good. All right, so exotics. All right, come on. Let's see what they did on exotics, because this one I've been kind of crossing fingers that for some needed changes for a long time. So let's go. The Queen Breaker now uses R3.0 blind. Okay, shots now change to multiple nearby enemies. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is cool. Remember where Queen Breaker was interested in Gambit? Was that? Yeah, remember that? Oof. PTSD. Ruinous Effigy. Transmutation Sphere Slam attacks now suppresses. Oh, that's cool. Leviathan's Breath now applies volatile on perfect draw impact. Increased damage from 396 to 442. This allow it to once again one-hit kill all supers in PvP. Nice. Thank you. That was cool. Increased damage versus champions by 30%. Wow, this is significant. I think Leviathan Breath was already strong, so the fact that they gave him another increased damage is going to make things really interesting. 1,000 voices. Each explosion now applies 10 plus 5 with Amber of Ashes score stacks. Okay. Songshot. Explosions on kills now applies 10 plus 5 score stacks. Polaris Lens. Perfect Fist shots now apply 40 plus 20 score stacks instead of a custom burn. Wow. Two-Tailed Fox. Solar Rockets now apply 60 plus 30 score stacks instead of burn. Prometheus Lens added the incandescent perk to the Catalyst. Grand Overture switched to Catalyst to use Arc Blind. The Manicore added a hipfire reticle element to show current stacks and anti-grav repulsor. Tractor Cannon. Fist of Crash. When Tractor Cannon was fired, a large group of Stacy Crystals. The Fourth Horseman fixed an issue where this weapon had received an unintended 20% damage nerf. There go speedruns in some areas. Thunderlord fixed an issue where this weapon lightning strikes could disrupt you or your teammates. I didn't know that was an issue, but hey, thank you. Perks. These perks have been updated to work with Strength, Osmosis, Golden Tricon, Elemental Capacitor. Grants plus 20 airborne effectiveness, plus 25 for the enhanced perk. All of those are good quality of life, so I guess we'll know more when we test. Rewind rounds, rebuilt to work on non-vault glass of weapons. Cool. Eager Edge, no longer deactivates when moving faster than 35 meters. Deactivates correctly after a single melee swing. Reduce the base launch distance from 2 to 1.8. Reduce airborne launch distance penalty from 25% to 20%. The enhanced perk now increases launch distance slightly back up to 2. So, this is good. Kind of, I don't know. I feel I'm 50-50 with this. It's great, the ability that we can move fast. It's great, the ability that, we can speed, because I love speed runs. But also, I wonder why all of this, when in reality, Eager Edge was fine. So I'm trying to understand why all these changes and updates when it was fine in the first place. So I'm indifferent until I test it, and we'll go from there. Blending Grenades, renamed to Disorienting Grenades. That's cool. That's fine. Vase Stinger. This was typically a full reload. When the perk activated, it now reload 25% of the magazine. That's cool. Not much of a difference there. Send Moment. Now also reduce incoming flinch. The perk has been branched so that shots from different archetypes ramp up the effect more quickly. One times for some machine guns, auto rifles, and machine guns. 1.5 for pulse rifles and sidearms. And 2 for hand cannons and scout rifles. Again, good quality of life. We'll know more when we test. Danger Zone. Updated the description to include that while active, the perk also reduces self-damage from the weapon. Okay. Wellspring. Fixed an issue where this perk was not rewarding the correct amount of energy. Yes, because I was concerned. Some of the builds that I had when I was hoping, depending on Wellspring, I was getting the sort of the I was getting the energy that I needed. So this is actually great. Now, and the fact that now works with abilities that have multiple charges, this is awesome. For abilities with multiple charges, once the ability has one full charge, it is considered charge, and it will divert excess energy into other abilities while giving the charge ability to the least amount. This is good. This is how it was supposed to work in the first place, and I'm glad that now it is where we need to be. So this is going to be helpful, especially for those builds that are depend on ability heavy. The fix for the enhanced version of the Strait is coming in a future patch. Okay, we'll wait, but at least this is actually helpful. Cascade Point no longer triggers off a non-precision damage against weakened targets. Okay, not bad here. This is, I'm 70% there. I'm still trying to understand some of the changes around Inger Edge and other weapons, but I guess we'll test and we'll know more, tomorrow and through once the DLC drops. Rescale the abilities. Rescale the the efficacy of discipline, strength, and each class ability stat on grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration rates. In general, Tier 10 stat is roughly equivalent to Tier 8 in the previous system. Each increase in tier now provides a more consistent benefit to the ability's cooldown reduction rather than spiking heavily at low tiers. Hunters, Supers, Arc Staff increase the maximum number of orbs that be created by defeating targets from 5 to 7. That's good. Golden Gun, Marksman increase the maximum number of orbs that can be created by defeating targets from 5 to 7. Golden Gun, Deadshot increase the maximum number of orbs from 5 to 7. Spectral Blades increase the maximum number of orbs from 5 to 7. Reduce base cooldown time from 10 to 9. Gathering Storm from 10 minutes to 9 minutes and 16 seconds. Gathering Storm decrease the maximum number of orbs from 7 to 5. Why? Silence the Squall decrease the maximum numbers that can be created from 7 to 5. Blade Barrage decrease the maximum numbers that can be created by defeating targets from 7 to 5. Why the switch? I don't get it. Why is this happening? And does this apply to PvP too, or this is only PvE? I don't understand. Why is this happening? It's just basically creating a different. Is it because the other supers don't get used as often? Is that what it is? I don't know. I don't like this. I'm indifferent about this, but I guess we'll find out more when we test. Class abilities. Marksman's Dodge. Reduce base cooldown time from 34 to 29 seconds. Gambler's Dodge. Reduce base cooldown from 46 to 38. That's good. Melee's Weighted Throwing Knife. Increase base cooldown from 109 seconds to 137 seconds. Okay. Lightweight Knife. Increase base cooldown from 90 to 100. Proximity Explosive Knife. Increase base cooldown time from 100 to 111. Withering Blade. Reduce base cooldown from 113 to 100. Some are good, some are terrible, but I imagine this is more directly associated with PvP because facing a hunter in PvP nowadays is not fun, especially ones that knows how to use their melee. It's tough. So I'm assuming or making the assumption that these sort of benefit perks, quote unquote, the increases or the reductions are favorable towards PvP. I honestly don't see a need to nerf things for PvE in some areas. I want to be clear, in some areas. So I'm not understanding some of this, but I guess we'll test more. Titan, Supers, Fists of Havoc. Increase the maximum number of orbs that can be created by defeating targets from 5 to 7. Thank you. Increase PvE damage by 20%. Finally. Thank you. Glacial Quake. Increase the maximum number of orbs that can be created by defeating targets from 5 to 7. Hammer of Soul. Increase the maximum number of orbs that can be created by defeating targets from 5 to 7. Reduce base cooldown time from 10 minutes to 9 in 16 seconds. Burning Maul. Increase the maximum number of orbs that can be created by defeating targets from 5 to 7. Sentinel Shield. Increase the maximum numbers of orbs that can be created defeating targets from 5 to 7. Okay, I get it. Basically, the supers that folks don't use are getting more orbs, and the supers that everybody uses are getting nerfed. That's basically it. I mean, that's the assumption because the same is happening with hunters. Makes sense that Titans also follow through, or follow in line. So Thundercrash, this is going to be a tough one. Decrease the maximum number of orbs that can be created by a defeating target from 7 to 5. Reduce maximum flight time from 5 seconds to 4.5 seconds. Reduce the size of the damaging volume around the player and push it further forward in front of the player to make drive-by disintegrations more intentional. Reduce detonation size versus players by minus 20% on change. So this is only for PvP versus PvE combatants. This is a good thing. I'm glad it separated the two. Downward vertical influence now begins early in flight. Okay, so the super is going to land less. You're going to flight less. And, and you're going to lose orbs. And basically, you're going to reduce the size of where you hit. Okay. This is good. At least the damage was unaffected. So that's good. The damage still is the same for what I'm reading. It's just that it made some adjustment primarily for PvP, I want to say. And also enough for PvE because we lost a couple of orbs. So we'll see where that goes. Water Dawn. Ward maximum health reduced from 13,500 to 8,000. Okay. Rescale PvE combatant damage versus the ward to compensate. In general, Water Dawn effectives HP against PvE combatants should not meaningfully change. That word scares me a little bit. Meaningfully change? We'll see. Because the percentage is not there. It's not clear to me yet. Standardize the damage dealt by each type of kinetic and energy weapons against the ward. Previously, energy weapons did 2.5 damage to Water Dawn, and kinetic weapons did 1 times damage. Now, regardless of damage type, weapons do 1.5 damage to the ward. Okay, I guess. Armor of Light has been updated to reduce its potency in PvP. Thank you. This is good. Maximum health reduced from 425 to 300. Okay, so there is hope here, guys. I mean, it's still overpowered in PvP, but there's hope. Now, Inheritance Void Overshield, 50% PvE damage resistance to compensate. Okay, that's fair. No longer negates precision damage. Okay, I guess this one we're going to have to test because there is a clear sort of direction towards PvP and PvE. I guess we'll have to test both sides, but anything that balances the meta on PvP, I'm all up for it 1,000%. The PvE one, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens because, again, it's just interesting. This notion about nerfing things in order to accommodate for other ones, I'm not a big fan of. So, again, we'll see more. Melee's Ballistic Slam now suppresses the attacking player's player base melee for 0.09 seconds after landing, so a follow-up melee cannot be performed until the player's return to first person. Increased base cooldown from 90 seconds to 114. Shield Bash increased from 90 to 114. Seismic Strike 90 to 101. Hammer Strike 90 to 101. Shield Tosh reduced from 100 to 291s. Again, this whole back and forth concerns me, but I guess we'll test more, or we'll know more until we test. Aspects. Knockout. Reduce basic melee damage bonus versus players from 60 to 50%. Reduce full body melee damage bonus versus play from 25 to 20. Well, I guess, all of this, I'm just kind of indifferent. Like, some things suffer, some things get adjusted. And I understand this is all based upon data, and you want the community to, try different things, and that's the reason why you nerf them. But something has to give. There has to be a balance here. And, I don't know. I guess we'll know more later. Warlock, Supers, Storm Trance. Increase the maximum number of orbs that be created from 5 to 7. Nova Warp, increase number of orbs from 5 to 7. Winter's Wrath, increase the maximum orbs from 5 to 7. See, the Daybreak, they increase the maximum number of orbs that be created from 5 to 7. Throw cost reduced from 10 to, say, 0.5 per swing. Increase damage versus PvE combatants by 25. Reduce base cooldown from 10 minutes to 9. Now, all of this is great, but the issue is not how many orbs, it's the damage that they do. Right now, Nova and many other supers, quite frankly, are very, very weak. And primarily, they just used to clear ads, but not necessarily for boss DPS. So if anything, I would have preferred seeing increased damage across the board for some of the supers that are kind of more around ad sort of clean related, rather than just have orbs increase. So I guess we'll see. Chaos Reach. Decrease the number of maximum orbs that can be created from 7 to 5. Nova Bomb. Decrease the number from 7 to 5. Again, Chaos Reach was already nerfed to the ground, in my opinion. Nova Bomb is it still needs love in terms of damage to bosses, so I don't understand the nerf here or the logic, and I just don't get it. I really don't. If anything, they needed more love in terms of damage, so I just don't see the how viable this is going to be or why it was needed. If anything, just buff them because they need love. Class abilities, Phoenix Dive, reduce base cooldown from 82 seconds to 55. While Daybreak is active, Phoenix Down cooldown is significantly reduced, allowing for rapid reactivations. While Daybreak is active, Phoenix Dive with tenacious damage increased from 40 to 80, minimal max to 100 to 220. Restoration duration when activated while Heat Rises is active increased from 1 to 3 seconds. Okay, so Warlock's going to be more powerful and it's going to have a great ability to move around and also survive with Phoenix Dive. So hopefully they balance this for PvE as well as for PvP. Melee, Celestial Fire. Increase base cooldown time from 100 seconds to 112. Incinerator Snap. Reduce base cooldown from 90 to 83. Penumbral Blast. Reduce base cooldown from 114 to 101. You know, this is, again, this go back and forth. Not a fan, but we'll see when we test. Aspect, Heat Rises. Split the airborne effectiveness bonus previously granted by consuming your grenade between a passive and active benefit. Previously granted 70 airborne effectiveness when Heat Rises was active after consuming a grenade. Now grants 20 airborne effectiveness passively while Heat Rises is equipped, and an additional 50 airborne effectiveness while Heat Rises is active, for the same total of 70 airborne effectiveness. So that means if I put on a weapon that has 20 plus or 100 plus, does that mean that I have 100% airborne effectiveness to shoot? This is dangerous and deadly. I feel bad for folks in PvP because if I can be in the air with a sniper and a scout rifle or a hand cannon, it's over. I am not going to miss. So this might unbalance the meta yet again. But again, this is just me speculating. I could be absolutely wrong here, folks, but this is interesting. Again, I don't understand much of the logic, but we'll see. Grenades, Arc, Lightning Grenade. Increase base cooldown time from 121 to 152. Increase PvE damage by 20%. Lightning Grenades were kind of powerful already, and we just got an extra 20% damage? Okay. Storm Grenades, increase base cooldown time from 105 to 129. Flush Grenades, reduce base cooldown from 182 to 152. Pulse Grenades, increase PvE damage by 20%. Again, our grenades were kind of strong already, so more, I guess we're switching towards the magic meta too? I don't know. This is interesting, for lack of a better term. Solar, Healing Grenade, increase base cooldown time from 82 to 91. Tripman Grenade, from increased base cooldown time from 91 to 121 seconds. Solar Grenade, increase base cooldown time from 120 to 152. Increase PvE damage by 20%. Thermite Grenade, increase base cooldown time from 105 to 121. Increase PvE damage by 20%. Incendiary Grenade, reduce base cooldown time from 121 to 105. I mean, again, I'm so indifferent about these changes. I don't know if we build mod correctly. I don't think there's going to have much of an impact. The increased PvE damage, again, is really interesting to see. So we'll see. Void Spike Grenade. Increased base cooldown time from 91 seconds to 121. Increased PvE damage by 20%. Void Wall Grenade. Increase base cooldown from 105 to 152 seconds. Increase PvE damage by 20%. Vortex Grenade. Increase base cooldown time from 121 seconds to 152 seconds. Increase PvE damage by 20 seconds. Whew. This, I can already see it, those Warlocks, man. Magnetic Grenade. Reduce base cooldown time from 121 to 105. Scatter Grenade. Reduce base cooldown time from 121 to 105. Stasis, Duxfield Grenades, increase base cooldown time from 64 to 91. Added new elemental pickups to the Void and Soul subclasses. Void Breach are created by a selection of new and existing vault fragments and grants class ability energy on pickup. Fire Sprites are created by a suite of new and existing solar fragments and grant grenade energy on pickup. Fragments Arc, sparks of resistance, increase nearby enemy count, requirement for activation for 2 to 3 seconds. All of this is good. I'm still, again, kind of indifferent about the grenade changes. Some were fine. I don't think they necessarily needed that kind of extra love for damage, but again, we'll take it. It's welcome. And these fragments, again, this is changing the game, and the meta is. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in terms of builds. But going back to Spark of Resistance, reduce linger time after you're no longer surrounded from 4 seconds to 2 seconds. And Spark of Instinct, new. Okay, this is new. That's right, because I remember in a couple of weeks we were talking about this. When critically wounded, taking damage for nearby enemies emits a burst of damaging arc energy that jolts targets. Don't we have a mod that kind of do this already? I thought we did. Maybe not. Spark of Haste. You have greatly increased resilience, recovery, and mobility while sprinting. Maybe for PvP this will be really, really good. So we'll see. Solar. Ember of Tempering now creates a fire spread and solar weapon skills were active in addition to original's effects. Ember of Combustion now creates a fire spread and solar super defeats in addition to original effects. So basically this is just kind of changing the narrative in terms of Wells, because Wells used to do this in combination with the embers and the sparks or what have you. So not much of a change here. I think it's just mostly changing one piece for the other. Ember of Searing now creates a fire spread when defeating scorched targets in addition to its original effects. Ember of Mercy, new. When you revive an ally, you and other allies regain restoration. Picking up a solar flare grants restoration. Or in this case, /well, but now is a flare. Ember of Resolve, new. Solar grenades, final blows heal you. Now this one is interesting because you just gave everyone the ability that Void gives you, right? The ability to instant heal when you get a kill. So this one is interesting. So that means that Solar hashtag it's also Void ? So I don't know. We'll see. This is this changes the game a little bit. So we'll see. Void. Echo of Domineering now creates a Void Breach when defeating suppressed targets in addition to its original effects. Thank you. Echo of Harvest now creates a Void Breach when defeating weakened targets with precision damage in addition to its original effects. Echo of Extarvation now grants Devour on picking up a Void Breach in addition to the original effects. This is what basically the solar grenades are going to do. You're going to basically get Devour in a sense. So, but the question is how much of a heal is going to give you? Is it going to be instantly 100% like Devour, or is this going to be gradual healing here? I guess we'll know about it more next week or tomorrow. Now allowed Orbs of Power pickup with full super energy. Okay, Echo of Cessation, new. Finisher, final blows create a burst of void damage that causes nearby enemies to become volatile. Defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. Ooh, with a hunter, imagine you finish something, you go invis, you basically clean the entire room, and then your weapons become volatile. Wow, this is gonna be interesting. This is broken much? We'll see. Echo of Vigilance, new. Defeating a target when your shields are depleted grants you a temporary void overshield. Okay, so let me read this again. Defeating a target when your shields are depleted grants you a temporary overshield. Oh my god. We had exotics that do this. Titans again. Well, actually, every class, so. Wow. Okay. Talk about the unkillable machine, and we just basically got a reduction on resilience by 30%. We're going back to that, unkillable machines across the board. If I'm reading this correctly, again, we don't know how much of an overshield you're gonna get, but this is gonna be life-changing here. So we'll see. Subclass keywords: Arc, Jolt. Jolt lightning damage now stuns Overlord champions. Cool. Blinding unstoppable champions now stuns them. Solar, Radiant. While Radiant, your weapons now also pierce barrier champions' shields and stuns them. Note: weapons that already have an assistant anti-champion behavior, i.e. artifact mod, an intrinsic anti-champion capability, or the ability to apply another subclass keyword that stuns a champion type, will not be granted the anti-barrier behavior from being Radiant. Okay, that's fair. That's perfectly fine. Ignition damage now stuns some champions. Unstoppable champions. Void volatile rounds. While you have volatile rounds, your void weapons now also pierce barrier champions, shields, and stun them. Wow. Okay. And basically, like the other perk, weapons that already have an assistant at the champion behavior or the ability to apply another subclass keyword that stuns the champion type will not be granted the anti-barrier behavior from volatile rounds. This is fair. Suppression. Suppressing overload champions now stuns them. Thank you. About time. Stasis. Slow. Slowing overload champions now stuns them. Shatter. Shatter damage now stuns unstoppable champions. So who's going to go in there and stun a champion with shatter damage? Whew, we'll see. Especially now that things are going to become tougher. So it will be cool and interesting to see how we're going to do that. Combatants. Champions not correctly stunned even when they are playing another animation, such as spawn-in. This is good. This was a tricky one, so thank you for your patience. Yes, because we've been asking for this for a very long time, so thanks. Champion stun time is now consistent across all champions. Whew, finally. Talk about balancing things. This used to be dependent on the animation length, leading to a slightly different times between combatants, so this is good. Champions can now be stunned with various element verbs. Barrier champions are weak to shots from a player with a solar radiant buff, void volatile rounds, strand unraveling rounds. Overload champions are weak to arc jolt, void suppression, stasis slow. Unstoppable champions are weak to arc blind, slow ignitions, the stasis shattered, and strand suspend. Wow, talk about all the builds that you can do with this. This alone right here, we're talking, whew, if I do the math, endless possibilities. Because now you don't have to depend on a specific gun to be able to do this. You can combine your subclass, you can combine the guns that you need and be more helpful than just being blatantly just stuck to one particular sort of build to do a GM or to do a raid or what have you. So this is actually beneficial and this is a good quality of life. So GG's on that, Bungie. Finishers. Obso class agnostic finishers now support strand coloration when using a strand subclass. Okay. Updated the VFX for stasis finisher to fix a coloration issue. Emotes. We're almost there, guys. This doesn't end. This is a hefty one. My goodness. Let's go. Emotes. The Ghost Fist Bun exotic emote now supports strand coloration when using the strand subclass. Okay. Thank you, I guess. Power and progression. Weekly powerful rewards have been removed from Throne World and added to Neonuma. So Throne World just became not useful? Question mark? Or maybe it's just because of the... I don't know. I don't like to see this. I like to have as many options as possible, but I guess the focus is into Neomuna because this is the new DLC, so we want folks to experience the new place, which, I guess in a way makes sense. Seasonal updates, engrams, energy, focusing, chess, and keys. Umbral engrams are no longer used to focus seasonal weapons and armor, and will no longer drop from the game. This is good and bad depending upon what else we're going to get in its place to be able to do what we had to do before. So we'll see. As a result, there will no longer be a seasonal umbral energy. This is good because we had like 4 the last time, and it was kind of tough to manage all of them. So this is a good quality of life. Seasonal engrams are now a new type of engram. You can visit the seasonal vendor to open them. Or you can spend multiple seasonal engrams to focus into a specific weapons or armor. This is good. I just wish that there wasn't so much RNG sort of element to it that you can put a mod on to sort of specifically push or focus into what you're looking for, not just necessarily just pick a weapon or an armor. So we'll see. Maybe that's quality of life for the future. Seasonal focusing is now a separate screen and can be accessed at the vendor by pressing the button next to the upgrades. If you focus Crucible Engram Season 19 at Shaxx, you'll be familiar with this system. Okay, so it's basically the same. So not much of an improvement. It's just they're just bringing it across the board. Seasonal engrams are stored at the vendor and do not require inventory space. Woo! This is good. Thank you. There is a wallet item you can acquire by visiting a seasonal vendor. Hovering over this item in your inventory will show you how many engrams you have for each vendor. If you delete this item, you can reacquire from the vendor. Oh, this is good quality of life. Thank you for this. This is not bad. Thank you. Owners of a season will now periodically be rewarded with a seasonal engram and all seasonal key upon completing activities throughout the game. Hashtag, buy the game. These are known as Defiant engrams and Defiant keys for Season of Defiance. Oh, that's right. That's the new season that's coming up. Playlist versions of the seasonal battlegrounds have one chest at the end of the activity. Okay. If you do not have a seasonal key when you open that chest, you will receive a seasonal weapon or armor. Hashtag Destiny 1 question mark? It feels like a Destiny 1 thing, but hey, happy to see it. If you do have a seasonal key, it will consume and you will receive the following. Either a seasonal weapon with deep sight resonance that you have not completed the crafting pattern for, or a high stat piece of armor, what have you. And a seasonal engrand, so make sure you open the chest at the end of the activity. Okay, will do. Well, whirlpool weapons and armor no longer drop at the end of the playlist version of seasonal activities. So basically we're going after what we need rather than just have some random RNG of everything. So this might be good if the loot is, it's good too, right? It all depends on how good the loot actually is. So we'll see. Different launch versus the seasonal battlegrounds will now have the chest and instead award whirlpool weapons and armor. Okay, I guess this is fair. Platforms and systems. PC platforms are to support an in-game setting to toggle NVIDIA Reflex on supported PC hardware, fix various minor QoL issues regarding the controller settings menus on PC. Okay. General collision damage is no longer lethal against Guardians. Hashtag this was fun. Ghost projections that change color based on your subclass now support strand coloration. We're using a strand subclass. Localization. Players now have access to full Mandarin audio localization across all new Life of content, the accompanying season, and core game modes covering Crucible, Gambit, and Strikes. Ikora for Tournament has been recast. Okay, overall, I think we have some interesting changes. In summary, there are some changes that we need about resilience. There are some changes that we need about armor, weapons. There's a lot of quality of life things here. And some of it is good, some of it's great. I'm not a fan of nerfing one thing to improve the other just because you want greater usage of an item. I think there is room to balance PvE and PvP still. I think there is room to have a lot of fun on PvE, go crazy, go all out, all mayhem with builds and what have you, and not necessarily nerfing things. But I also understand the other side of the coin. When you are too powerful and too broken, you need balance. I get that. I'm all out for that. But I think there's room in place for everything. I think there is room for the magic, and that's why we all, play this game and care about this game. As for PvP, I am concerned about some of the changes that I saw, and I wish there was a more sort of focus, engagement, conversation around PvP. I'm one of the first prominents I'm one of the first ones and folks out there who's been saying that we need more content, more focus toward PvP, more maps, more engagement, and actually, reasons to do this, right? To go ahead and play in comp, to go ahead and play, PvP. I didn't see much about the reward loop pool. I love the fact that things are becoming a little bit more difficult, but again, very concerned about the player's time investment versus reward, and that's one of the reasons why sometimes this game can feel like a chore, or sometimes just feel, quite frankly, just boring, because we're doing the same thing over and over again that we have been doing for years without necessarily much of a loop pool or reward that makes it worth it. So again, I'm hoping for the best here. I'm concerned about some things, a lot more things. I need more clarity, and we need to do a lot of testing. But with that said, Guardians, I really appreciate it if you stuck around with me for the entire hour. It was a pleasure reading this, and this is one of the first of many that I'll be planning to do. And I want to thank you in advance for just hanging out with me and just reading this with me. If you have any comments, thoughts, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments. Any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. And again, this was fun. So thank you all. Hopefully I see you someday at the tower. We get to play some strikes, maybe some Crucible. Much love to everyone. Thanks again. Oh, and remember that everything we do on this channel benefits charity. So thanks so much, guys. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.